Dear participants, welcome to this year's release event also from my side. My name is Nadim Salem, and I'm the Technical Manager for the Adaptive Platform. I would like to talk to you about the stabilization of the Adaptive Platform, an activity to increase the quality of the platform and the acceptance of it in the market. As you might remember, in our last release event, we talked about stabilizing the APIs of the Adaptive Platform. This has been one of our highest priority throughout 2024. The market feedback that we received clearly stated that it is crucial to have interfaces to the Adaptive Platform that are stable throughout the different releases of AUTOSAR, as far as possible. So, what are our goals here? As mentioned, the main goal was to achieve a stable, consistent set of APIs so that the Adaptive Platform can be used to develop and deliver production-grade applications. To achieve this, a more predictable software environment needs to be provided. Having more stable APIs will lead to a higher interoperability and thus to more compatibility across different AUTOSAR releases and between vendors. Additionally, this is crucial for the OEMs, Tier 1s, and tool vendors as they can deal with a predictable environment, helping them in their development cycles. Last but not least, AUTOSAR will provide a lifecycle support for its APIs to ensure deprecation mechanisms and thus enable an efficient management of long-term support and maintenance to all partners. Now, let's have a brief look at the history of AUTOSAR. Starting somewhere in 2003, the initial AUTOSAR standard, now known as the Classic Platform, started. With the first proof of concept release in 2005, a first architecture was introduced, and the standard gained attraction to many companies in the automotive industry. Until 2007, the standard evolved further, bringing more and more features of the automotive industry into the Classic Platform architecture and exchange formats. With the release 2.1, first implementations of the communication stack made it into production of OEMs. With the releases 3.1 and 3.2, the standard gained maturity and was used on a broader scale. As you can see, the releases 3 and 4 were developed in parallel, with parallel developments of two release branches with a different set of features and a different lifecycle management. As we're talking about stabilization here, let me show you what that meant for the Classic Platform. At the time of the releases 3.2 and the introduction of release 4, the Classic Platform became more and more stable. That doesn't mean that it hasn't evolved further since then, but AUTOSAR has focused more and more on the backward compatibility of this platform and has since then released many more versions of it. Now, let's have a look at the Adaptive Platform. The development of the platform has started with first rough ideas around 2014 and with the first release in spring 2017. The focus for the Adaptive Platform was very clear to deliver features fast, as the market demanded a platform for microprocessors different from the Classic Platform. The idea was that AUTOSAR provides a new platform based on the success of the Classic Platform. It was already clear back then that stability of the platform in future would be necessary, but it was more important to give the direction to which the platform with all its features will develop. With different partners adopting the platform into their production, and thus cars, the market now demands this stability. As you can see here, starting in 2019, the releases of the Classic and Adaptive Platform have been synchronized to strengthen the possibility of interoperability between the two platforms. One of the core features, the exchange formats, are widely used in the industry and have a large overlap between the two platforms. Therefore, we are now entering a phase in the Adaptive Platform where we guarantee backwards compatibility for the application interfaces and introduce a lifecycle management for those. So, what were our activities in 24-11? Our main goal was to introduce all known bugs that lead to a break in the backward compatibility to ensure that we don't have to do that after the stabilization phase. That means that we had a clear focus on architectural changes and API breaking changes within this year. This led to 366 identified issues with respect to AP stabilization, which we have been able to solve. The main headlines here are introduction of thread safety, mandatory for each API, including the callbacks, the exception safety. Most of the APIs that we have are now conditionally no except. We introduced the rollback semantics for each error code, And additionally, we had many single solved bugs throughout all functional clusters. Nevertheless, the whole activity was a huge assignment that couldn't be solved to the full extent. This means there are still some leftovers which are documented in our release documentation in detail. But to name a few, the stabilization of the cryptography specification remains undone for now. Some leftovers of architectural decisions in single functional clusters, for example about the thread safety, still needs to be solved, but we are confident that we'll be able to solve those for the upcoming release. You will be able to identify those issues with a draft tag in the specifications and some further explanations in the release overviews. Based on the outcome of these activities, most of the adaptive platform specifications will be set to valid in 24-11. Stabilization of the adaptive platform is essential for ensuring reliability, security, compatibility in modern applications. The stabilization provides a solid foundation for the development and deployment of applications for the adaptive platform. With that being said, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please stay with us for the Q&A at the end of the main event.